Ladies and gents, welcome back. The minister who's never been convicted of a sexual assault, Marco Mendicino, is in the news today. Why do I preface his name like that? Well, he laid out allegations previously, unfounded allegations towards members of the Freedom Convoy and fellow Canadians of certain allegations. Well, just here, right here.
I would say first, it's not an insinuation. We got the advice from our law enforcement that we'd met the threshold. And secondly, Ms.
I just can't believe you put us in danger in that way,
respectfully,
to
Ms.
be honest.
Dancho,
Like,
there
that
were Ottawans who were
seems
subjected
very
to
irresponsible to
intimidation,
me.
harassment, threats of rape. I mean, and those were
Okay, so I don't think that those allegations are to be taken seriously, and I would not want him to fall under the same sort of pressure from the public or maybe slanderous thing. So I will always make sure to preface his name with the minister who was never convicted of a sexual assault, Marco Mendicino. But he's in the news today, and he's in the news because, well, Deputy Minister claims Mark Mendicino was misunderstood about police asking for the Emergencies Act. He was misunderstood. No, he did not perjure himself by lying under oath. No, he was misunderstood. So this is from the True North. Public Safety Minister, who was never convicted of a sexual assault. Just make sure that that's known. Marco Mendicino, Deputy Prime Minister. His Deputy Prime Minister says Mendicino was misunderstood when he repeatedly said law enforcement requested the government's invocation of the Emergencies Act to clamp down on the Freedom Convoy. The advice we received was to invoke the Emergencies Act, Mendicino told the Special Joint Committee in the declaration of the Emergencies Act back in April. Numerous policing leaders from the Ottawa Police to the RCMP Commissioner have denied this. Police Safety Deputy Minister Rob Stewart told the Special Joint Committee on the Declaration of Emergency Parliamentary Committee digging into the Trudeau's use of the Emergencies Act that he believed that Mendicino was trying to express what the law enforcement asked for, the tools that were contained in the Emergencies Act. They didn't say that they wanted it. They just were trying to express that they wanted some of the stuff inside. Mendicino referenced supposed law enforcement requests for the Emergencies Act in several statements to the media in the House of Commons going back to February, and I have that video right here of him saying so.
We invoked the act because it was the advice of nonpartisan professional law enforcement.
That's the reason why we had to invoke the Emergencies Act, and we did so on the basis of nonpartisan professional advice from law enforcement.
We were following the advice of various levels of law enforcement, including the RCMP.
After calling upon the police forces, we invoked the Emergency Measures Act.
We wanted to be sure at bottom that we were giving law enforcement all of the tools and the resources that they needed.
It was only after police told us that they needed this special power.
The Ontario Association, the Canadian Association, law enforcement was very strong. I don't want to speak for every last serving member of law enforcement, but there was a very strong consensus that we needed to invoke the act. We invoked the
very strong consensus that we needed to invoke the act. The member who has never committed a sexual assault, Mendicino, says here, not lying under oath, he was misunderstood. You see, he was misunderstood. Blacklock's reporter published Holly Dawn identified 11 occasions on which Mendicino claimed cabinet was acting on police advice. So here we have pointed out, we're listening to law enforcement, February 21. According to law enforcement, we still need the Emergencies Act, February 21. We have to invoke the Emergencies Act, and we did so on the basis of nonpartisan professional advice from law enforcement, February 28. It was only after we got this advice from law enforcement that we invoked the Emergencies Act, April 28. We invoked the Emergencies Act after we received advice from law enforcement, May 3rd. But these aren't fibs. These aren't lies. He's not lying under oath. He's not lying on the floor of the parliament. No. He was misunderstood. We saw borders shut. We saw Canadians laid off. We saw our communities and our neighborhoods in danger. That is the reason why we had to invoke the Emergencies Act and we did so on the basis of nonpartisan professional advice from law enforcement, said the member who has never been convicted of a sexual assault, Mendicino, in February. Mendicino also stated that in April, the Emergencies Act was put forward after police officials told us they needed this special power. In May, and it gets really tough to keep saying this, but it needs to be said that he has never, ever been convicted of a sexual assault. Mendicino said that the recommendation of police, we invoked the Emergencies Act to protect Canadians because keeping Canadians safe always be the government's priority. RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki told the Special Joint Committee that the law enforcement had been consulted by the government about invoking the act. The RCMP did not request it. It's cut and dry. It's pretty cut and dry here. There's video here of her saying that, but I'm going to move on for the sake of time. There was never a question, and of course, links in the description down below. You can check these out for yourself. There was never a question of requesting the Emergencies Act, said Lucki, adding that she was unaware of the police authority that had made the request of any police authority that made the request for the act. Ottawa interim police Steve Bell told a parliamentary committee that his department had not made a direct request to the Trudeau government for the Emergencies Act to be invoked, and there's video of it here as well. We're involved in conversations with our partners and with the political ministries, said Bell, adding we didn't make a direct request for the Emergencies Act. Former Ottawa Police Chief Peter Soley also stated that he never requested the invocation of the Emergencies Act. Again, video here. You can check it out at your leisure. A Special Joint Committee on the Declaration of Emergency was formed on March 3rd to investigate the Prime Minister Trudeau's decision to invoke the Emergencies Act on February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. We're going to come in with our jackboots and stomp them on your face to crack down on weeks-long Freedom Convoy demonstrations against government COVID-19 mandates and restrictions. The minister, who has never been convicted of a sexual assault, Mendicino's office did not respond to a request for comment by the time of publication. But it is to be said that he was never, ever convicted of a sexual assault. More people taking to social media. So it wasn't just True North reporting on this story. This was published in other mainstream sources. MSN here. Frank McVitie commenting on this, more like misinformation. He just got called out for his fibs and he's trying to cover himself. The minister, who's never been convicted of a sexual assault, Mendicino, misunderstood in saying police asked for Emergencies Act, Deputy Minister says. We got David Jacobs on Twitter saying, child with cookie crumbs on his face was misunderstood when he said imaginary friends asked him to eat all of the cookies. Of course, of course, of course, of course. Now, what do you guys think in the comments down below? Because from what I understand, if you take to the stand under oath and lie, that's perjury, and there are consequences for that. I don't think there are consequences when you're on the House in the House of Parliament if you lie on the floor, because that happens every single day. Unfortunately, there are no consequences for openly lying there. It's no consequences for openly lying at a press conference or to the media or in public, but there are consequences for lying under oath. If it's proven that you knew and you were, this is obviously the reason for I misunderstood. I didn't get it. So what do you guys think about the minister who's never been convicted of a sexual assault and his throwing it away as being misunderstood? Does that fly? Do you think that flies? Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here. Subscribe away. Hit that like button. Why don't you join the conversation? Hey, it's a great place. There's lots of cool people in the chat. Go say hey to all of them. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video. Keep on trucking.